I think it's time we have a little bit of a discussion about what's actually happening with Despia. Don't be like the 30% of you that have not smashed the living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Somebody's gonna automatically comment on this video before even opening this up and going, Robbie, you're just misjudging Despia again. Oh man. Okay, so let's serious time here, ladies and gentlemen. We need to actually talk about Despia and what's going on with the deck. So heading into Cyberstorm Access here, early on the deck was disappearing from competitive play. During Kashtira format, I was seeing a lot of events where everybody was actually kind of dropping Despia, and that's actually kind of surprising, actually. I think a lot of people were kind of taken aback by Despia because, I agree with a lot of the early thoughts here that I did agree that it was one of the top 3 decks of the format. But it kind of just turned into expulsion or bust. Now, that's not a bad thing at the end of the day. Quite honestly, it's the thing that helped make the deck a lot better, in my personal opinion. But a lot of people, just how Kashtira format developed, it just got power crept out. And I think a majority of the players would agree that if you were planning on playing the deck, that you had to be considered a better player for the era. And I think that's personally fine. A deck that requires skill, or a little bit more tacked out tech choices with your card pool makes sense, right? I think that's very, very important knowledge. Honestly, the game does come down to about a lot of deck building. So rounding out ratios into correctiveness is very important at the end of the day. But what made Despia, start to disappear at this stage? Because, we have 3 brand. The deck is at a state that was far superior to the OCG at this point. They put brand infusion to 1 out of massive fear of the deck becoming, too toxic. But the only thing that the TCG was doing, it was, oh boy, we make Mirror Jade, and then we set the expulsion. Yeah, expulsion was a free auto win button in a lot of matchups, but it wasn't consistent. That's like the biggest thing that people need to understand is, while you can steal games with expulsion, and yeah, it is massively unfair, it became the deck's identity. And when something like that isn't a necessary guarantee, 100%, I'll see this every single game, that's kind of why Despia started to fade off, near the end. So we're heading on in our Cyberstorm Access here. We get an amazing new array of support. Oh my gosh, these cards change the deck forever. Insert extremely overhyped meme, because with the new stuff, okay, first of all, Quem the Virtuous is an amazing card, giving you the ability to essentially continue on with your little combo lines, and then if something leaves the extra deck, you get a free, revive. I think that's pretty good, but it's not like builds are gonna, be excited to see 3 of this every single game. That's the biggest thing is, yeah, you do get Quem. Yeah, she's always a dogmatic and a Despia card, but at the end of the day, she doesn't really go too crazy for the rest of the deck. There is a lot of hype around Nadir Servant right now because of Guiding Quem, because you can send a card that mentions Failure Of Albaz or a card that mentions it from your deck to the graveyard. All sorts of little interactions with that. Yeah, sure, I get that, but I feel like a lot of that, well, I don't know, we'll have to wait and see how people kind of shape up, because if you're just getting 3 new cards to really add to your, already existing pile that was already kind of struggling, and if none of those really add much flavor to the pool, you got a lot to kind of ask yourself. Now, Lulu Walleth is something that I am excited about, because honestly, this card makes Grand Gondola actually matter, because if this card is in the graveyard, because it was sent through this turn, you can special summon a light spellcaster from your hand or deck whose attack equals its own defense. Well, yes, this does give you the ability to access a Guiding Quem, but you can only use that effect of this card's name once per turn. So if we're going Gondola, dropping Quem to kind of access our, combo line here so that we can do our thing and to get another extension onto the field, Where are we going from there? Because once you touch down with the Quem, I mean, you have to have a purpose for her, right? Well, enter in the new Albion. The new Albion, the Sanctifier Dragon. It's Fallen of Albaz plus a light spellcaster monster. I already know that people are looking at the summoning conditions on this card, and they've already left the video. They're like, oh, man, Robbie, like, are you serious right now? The thing that matters about this is during your opponent's turn quick effect, you can target 2 monsters in any graveyard, so summon both monsters, 1 to each field. And it also says your opponent cannot target it with card effects. What makes this card so scary is technically in every single game, I can access the ability to, punish the opponent. I can hand them a gimmick puppet. I can hand them, anything else as long as, there are 2 monsters down. It's not like they can impermit and stop it, right? The other thing about this deck, even though, you also have the really cool effect, let you tribute 4 monsters, 2 in the extra monster zone and 2 in the central monster zones, to special summon this back from the graveyard, which is actually really cool for lore's sake. But when you're kind of looking at like the entire archetype, you're like, oh boy, these cool cards these are awesome. I mean, you get like a new Aluber too. There's like some new trap cards and stuff as well for like generic power-ups. But my problem is the deck still loses to the same thing right now. And it is, if you Ash the Branded Fusion, I don't even care. You can activate Branded Fusion, discard your card, go search for the Aluber, activate Branded Fusion. If anything happens to that Branded Fusion, the entire deck is choke pointed out. Now, all things considered here, having access to Blazing Cartesia to do like sub-fusion lines of play can actually kind of help you navigate the pain of getting that, stopped. But your full end board is very much dependent on the Branded Fusion resolving. That's the entire deck's existence. Like, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news for you here. I'm excited to see how players will adapt the new stuff, but I feel like the deck has been getting power crept very, very hard as every expansion has kind of come along here. And because of that consistent power creep, I mean, Branded Fusion, for the time of its existence, was an incredibly busted card. It changed a lot of the way that people played the game. It made some incredibly crazy boards, and they've added in a lot of stuff that was like, oh, we kind of regret making this lock, for fusion for the rest of the turn, or, the turn. I mean, the Verti Anaconda effect to drop opened up like the Tri-Brigade version of the deck. That was cool. I loved that version of the deck. It was by far one of the coolest unique versions of it, but after we lost Verti Anaconda, you lost the ability to have the inclusion of that package. Once you strip away, your free extensions and other good stuff here, unfortunately, the deck just it doesn't feel the same anymore. Yeah, once again, you have busted lines of play. Yeah, absolutely. I am not gonna Expulsion or Sanctifier into Gimmick Puppet. Yeah, that's not fair. Ra's Disciple, handing it to your opponent. I get it. All right, those are all not very fun interactions. But from where I'm sitting right now, I think that the deck is a lot more fair than it has ever been. I think the new cards will add in a pretty cool extra layer into it. If you are really worried about the deck, just hold your Ash Blossom for the Branded Fusion. 95% of the time things will be okay, usually. As long as you can get a turn physically, you can do your thing. Yeah, if your opponent produces like a Mirror Jade and a whole field of fusions, yeah, it can be annoying and it can be an issue to clear. But it's doable, and that's the important thing. Another deck that needs to go first in order to kind of get off the ground, or it gets choke pointed out. Yep, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! For you right now. So what do you guys think about how Despia is kind of shaped up right now for the overall structuring of the format? Do you think that this deck is going to stick around as a strong potential candidate? What do you really think here about everything? Please leave a comment down below. I am honestly super interested to see what more will come out of this in the near future. I think we're not entirely done with support here, but we'll have to wait and see. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.